Zane, round one takeaways from the full performance against the Tars. What did you learn?
Yeah, look, really happy with how we played against the Tars. It's always tough playing a team, 2 weeks in a row, or essentially 2 games in a row. We had a period between those 2 games, which, we felt like we knew they would adjust and they'd be much better from the trial, and they certainly showed that. They're a good team, the Tars, and from our perspective, certainly around the forwards, really happy with the set piece, but at times we've got to go to another level. That's certainly been the talk this week, is everything about us being better and continuing to go from strength to strength.
Tommy Liner yesterday mentioned that he'd identified the breakdown as an area of issue. Is that something you've been able to work through this week?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say an issue as such, but certainly, Jonathan Fisher in that space has done a great job throughout the pre-season. And again, this week, there's going to be some key highlighted areas. Karifi, a great player on ball. The Canes have a very different philosophy around how they'll approach that area. And certainly for us, we've got a really good plan in place to moving forward around how we deal with that. And that's going to be a really important part of our game going to this week.
Where did you see, some of the, you said there's not so much issues, but with the breakdown problems that were there, I think Les was quite adamant that 14 turnovers, it's not going to fly against the Canes. Where did you see the need for improvement?
Yeah, it's a great question, because it's 14 turnovers or 16 turnovers is actually not just the breakdown. It's essentially the whole game. There's line-out turnovers in that, scrum turnovers. There's a number of different areas. So the breakdown's certainly one of those that contributed to that, but it's the whole game that we've got to improve. Obviously, rugby's a game around, the Canes are great off turnover attack. They're a great counter-attacking side. We've got to minimise those opportunities for teams, not just the Canes, for every team. So it's going to be about us tidying up every part of our game, not necessarily the breakdown.
Jock coming into the team as well. I mean, it's probably a bit of a shock exclusion there with the way he was playing in the pre-season. What do you make of the inclusion, and what are you hoping to see from him on the flank? Yeah,
look, we are incredibly blessed with some great players across the board. So it's the opportunity to give Jock a run. As you mentioned, he was outstanding in the trial game. He gets his opportunity now on the wing to start. Mac himself was excellent the other night. So for us, we're very blessed with the opportunity to have a number of different world-class players that can play in those positions. The expectation is just that they play well when they get their chance.
How do you think Amy Park will hold up by the time you guys get on it?
Yeah, we know it well. I know Amy Park well. I was there for a number of years. So, look, it's a great stadium, and what an opportunity for us to go down there and play in that stadium. All reports are it's going to be dry, so there's no doubt the ground will hold up. We're excited to play an afternoon game in front of a crowd down there, and excited the opportunity to play again. The Canes are a good side.
You mentioned about the pack have risen, but they've got to go even further. What are some of those sort of areas? Is it speed? Is it mental application?
Yeah, it's again really good question around how we improve. And when we look at improvement, it's not necessarily just around anything technical and or tactical. It's about opportunity. So it's about making sure that you maximise the opportunities when you get them. Against very good sides, you will get limited opportunities. So for us, we have to maximise the opportunities when we get them. And for us, that is about training application as much as in-game application. We train well, do it well in training. We've no doubt we'll execute in-game.
How much credit do you take for Matty Fazzler's start to the season? He was out of the gates pretty quick there.
Oh, look, Matt's, I think he's been very humble there. Matt, look at his last 12 months. He's come through from playing club rugby and brothers, gone through and ended up, starting position at the Reds, gone into a World Cup. He learned a huge amount through the World Cup. I'm not going to take any credit, to be fair. When players play well, that's on them. Matt's been outstanding. But that's a real credit to, and Matt even mentioned it the other day himself, it's a real credit to the whole forward pack. There's a real love and passion for around our set piece and wanting to be successful in that area. And that themselves, that's their own. That's nothing to do with me. That's them wanting to drive that and them wanting to be successful and understanding it's an important part of the game.
I guess between him, Zane, you've got Fraser, Harry Wilson as well. I mean, do you see like a real long-term nucleus of a Wallabies pack that's already here in Queensland?
Oh, look, I wouldn't like to talk about Wallabies. I'm not the Wallaby coaching staff, and that I'll leave that for Joe. My job is about making sure that they perform for Queensland and perform for the Queensland Reds. They perform well as a Queensland pack. There's no doubt they'll get opportunities at the next level. But I've got no doubt they're fully focused on this weekend against the Canes, as I am. And you know, we don't think anything further. Next job, our ability to set into this game, get ourselves set today with our training, and then move from there.
You identified Duplessis Carriffy as a threat in that Hurricanes pack. Are there any other major threats that you've ID'd through the week?
Well, look, they're a quality pack. Well, not just a pack, they're a quality side. You know, for the Canes to travel over to Perth against a very well prepared Western Force side and be successful and play well over there. Now to then travel back and be in Melbourne before we get there potentially, you know, there's going to be challenges all over the park, not just with one player. Take your eyes off the ball. If you look at one player, we've got to very much look at the 23, and hence, you know, we've obviously got a bit of movement in our selection. We're very focused around our 23 and our squad doing a job.
What did you make of their scrum against the Force? Obviously, they've had their own propping issues, being down a few personnel over in Perth, but the Canes scrum did look quite dominant.
Yeah, well, bringing Tyrell Lomax off the bench, you know, All Black starting tight head, it's a fair, you know, it's a great luxury to have. Certainly the young man that's gone in, that started a tight head prop for them last weekend, he's done a great job throughout the trials. And to have that luxury, we're not sure at this point which way they'll select. So having Tyrell come in off the bench, or whether he starts, they're always going to be a quality side.
You spoke to the coalface in Melbourne. How devastating would it be for rugby to lose that footprint?
Yeah, look, obviously there's a huge amount of empathy for the people and the individuals down in Melbourne. Knowing a lot of them personally, we feel for them. It's a terrible part of our game, isn't it? You know, it's not just Australia that's dealing with these issues. There's teams dealing with all around the world. When you see that type of situation happening, you've got to think about the individuals, and certainly their families, and what happens when this type of situation occurs. There's no doubt that's going to galvanise them as a team. However, they're going to galvanise as a team, and you know they're going to want to perform for the people of Melbourne.
Between, I guess, this Melbourne situation, also sounds like the Brumbies are also in their own financial difficulties as well. I mean, it's looking more and more likely we could be down to 4 teams next year. What are your views on that? Do you think it could condense the talent and make our 4 clubs more successful, or do we really need at least 5 to be able to keep rugby moving forward?
Yeah, it's a good question, and to be fair, I really don't have a comment on how many teams we should have, and to be honest, I don't have a view. My view is totally around focusing around my job and doing it well for Queensland. There's no doubt that there's a lot of quality players across both the Melbourne and also the Brumbies group. You know, if we ended up with 4 teams, you know, my empathy comes for the people that miss out, because there'll be quality people, quality families that then don't have an opportunity and then potentially leave the shore.
Self-belief in the forward pack after that first round, how's that?
Yeah, certainly, you know, there's no doubt there's a confidence around how we're going, but it's one performance, you know, in a competition game, round 1. So we've got a long way to go. I'm hoping, and certainly the messaging is around next job, you know, and you're not owed anything in this game. You've got to go out there and you've got to actually take it. And we're just, again, working hard on how areas we can improve, and what that looks like for the forwards would be, you know, training well today, getting into Friday, doing it again, getting to Melbourne and then performing again.